Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. So, anyone getting deja vu yet? Here we are in the lockdown. It's kind of like a lockdown, but isn't a lockdown because the government's afraid to use the word lockdown. And it's being handled so poorly. Case numbers are up. Okay, let's officially hope this is the highest record and it's going to go down from here. But what surprises me is the bureaucratic infighting that's going on. Let's look at schools. Remember how I said the hardest thing for them to do would be to shut down the schools because they don't want the kids at home with the parents? And I've explained 100 times about, 2-3 kids in a 2-3 bedroom apartment is pretty much a living hell during any sort of lockdown situation. But we're going right back into it. All through the holidays, the numbers were going up. And in Ontario, our government sat on its hands. And on Friday, and actually my wife and I had a bit of a disagreement over this one, not yelling or anything, but she said, but here the principal is saying that they're only going to wait until Wednesday to go back. And I said, that's not the whole picture. I said, wait, you're going to get another notice. The teachers are refusing to go back. And the Ontario head of health, I don't know what the job position is, said, if you send them back, we will enact quarantine protocols. So that way we can make sure our children are taken care of. And lo and behold, it's happened. The start of the school year is now bounced back 2 weeks. Now, the comical part is that Doug Ford is trying to brush this off as though, oh yeah, we need 2 weeks to set online learning up. They did this last year. As a matter of fact, a lot of kids were given computers last year, and none of them were asked for them back. I actually know one family who was given 2 computers because they broke one. No judgment. Stuff happens, give out 200 computers. A couple are going to break. Stuff happens. I have nothing against that. Kids got to learn. So maybe the kids in kindergarten need to get new computers, and a couple here and there are told, come in and replace your computer. And that's that. It doesn't take 2 weeks to get people up and running. But they were so determined to push this decision off that now we're into critical period of 2022 when the kids should, by all rights, be back at school. Oh no, I guess we got to implement this distance learning thing. If they only started off, excuse me, I am getting better from this cold, but not 100% yet. If they had started off and said, look, it's in the cards, be prepared, I think they would have been a whole lot better than sitting back and trying to say, no, we're not doing it, blah, 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 and wrapping everything up in this ridiculous political narrative. But it does show us the one force, excuse me, it does show us the one force that the government fears, and that's parents. Now, why would they be afraid of parents? Because parents are going to be sitting at home as well. There's a lot of industries that circulate around schools. Office supplies, for one, that's a huge industry. They feed into schools. They need paper, pens, all those things. Custodial services. Most schools have a janitor, but the cleaning service is outsourced. And just because schools aren't in doesn't mean that those people don't still have to go in. Now, they have a lot less to do and can probably cut back, but I don't really know the way those contracts are structured. These schools must be cleaned no matter what. Yeah, instead of before where you need, say, 4 people to do it over a 2-hour period, now you can do it with 2. So cleaning services are going to be saving money. It's kind of like snowplow agencies. During easy years, They make money. During bad years, they make less money. I don't think you can ever say they truly lose money, maybe during one of those horrible blizzard years that, comes up every 4 or 5 years. But overall, their lives are not so bad. Food services. A lot of schools get a food truck coming up to them because, now this surprised me, they still can't heat up lunches during elementary schools. I don't know about secondary or anything like that, but they don't even have microwaves. Now, I understand this to a certain degree. After all, you don't want to have 200 kids all trying to warm up their lunches at the same time. On the other hand, on a cold day, something warm in your belly is exactly what you need. Good news is, for the next 15 days, and if you think that's the end of it, you got another thing coming, my friend. By the way, you want to know the scary part to this? We're not even done with Delta. They're all talking about the Omicron, and we haven't even finished with Delta. This spike is all Delta's last hurrah. We don't even know what's coming in the future. And the way our government's going on, we don't even know what's coming tomorrow. It just makes me wish politicians could be more honest. I respect when you're in a position of power, you don't want to sound indecisive. Even though every business I've ever been in has said, we'll make this decision later, they will usually quietly say, we're leaning towards this, we're leaning towards that. But just the sheer backing and forthing over the issue has, well, I didn't have that much faith in this government to begin with, but it's really shaken my faith because the evidence was clear. Over the holidays, the numbers weren't hovering. They weren't going maybe one way, maybe the other way. They were going one way, and that was rocketing straight up. And we haven't even gotten into the thick of it. The holidays, remember, it takes about 2 weeks for any sort of virus to get into your system and get established. So all those people that were on the bus, getting stuff last minute, going to work, getting exposed last minute, going to their relatives, getting exposed, we're only just starting to see those cases coming into the system. We can only imagine how much it's going to get over the next couple of weeks, because New Year's as well, that would be another point, because there was still no lockdown. Now, I personally have a stake in this, because my mother's birthday comes up a couple weeks after the holidays, and this is the second year in a row that she's not going to celebrate her birthday. And my mother very much values her birthday. I mean, why shouldn't she? And I'm sure she's not the only one where she's sitting around saying, I just want to have a couple people over, have a piece of cake, and that's the end of it. And they can't do that. And the rug was pulled out from under them in the last seconds. I'm going to tell you, we had plans for my mother's birthday. Not to go out and paint the town red, but we still had plans. Things were just about to click into gear. But fortunately, last year taught us, hey, keep your plans simple so that way you can cancel them. It's fortunately that my father and I and my significant other and our little one had all decided, okay, this is what's happening, and now it's not happening. How is it that we can recognize that there's going to be a problem with a birthday party and the government can't realize there's going to be a problem with the educational system? My family's not really smart. My family's not really dumb. But the government should be able to at least say, okay, there is a problem. There's something developing. We're looking at things. And all they were saying was, there's an announcement coming. Then the announcement came and it said, we're looking at more options. It's just despicable management. Now, we're here in Ontario, and that means the Tories are in power. The Conservatives are never good for anything. And while I give Doug Ford some credit, he has been a pretty steady hand so far going into this situation, this pandemic, this viropocalypse, that, yeah, I gotta take my hat off and say, you know what, you got handed a tough job. But at the same token, I can't forgive the way that he's blown the situation up so badly 2 years in a row with the exact same situation. I might be more forgiving if, last year he was able to call it off and this year he wasn't. But no, it was the exact same, except the numbers are worse. It's plain as day to anybody who has eyes in their head. And he's got teams of advisors telling him what to do. So I would say we have to consider this government a failure. I'm not saying switch whatever your party loyalties are. I'm just saying seriously think about where the province is going at present. It's not going in a good direction. And I don't think any government can pull out of this. I don't. While we were talking about apocalypses in the 1980s and 1990s, we were picturing, nukes flying, a terrorist detonates a nuke somewhere and everything goes to hell from there. And in quite much the same way, in the 2000s, it was, zombies being a virus, taking over the world, and similar situations like that. No one predicted it would be a common cold. Well, sorry, this is not a common cold. This is a deadly virus that's going around. And you know what? It could have been handled so much better. I'm going to let the false start throughout the entire world happen because governments are slow to react, especially initially. I'm going to understand that people are not perfect. So in 2020, when the virus first appeared, it was an Asian thing. It was happening over there. And then cases started trickling over here. And then, boom, everybody was locked down for 6 months. But this time, it's a rerun. Just the numbers are different and higher. So what we're supposed to do is run a similar game plan. And I am questioning why, when they're claiming that the vaccine is so effective, we're getting such higher numbers. Did people become stupid? I admit I see fewer people wearing masks, but again, with my policy on being neutral on other people, I'll take precautions for myself. I have no problem with that. I'll take precautions with my family, but you are an independent being. You have the choice to do what is right according to your wisdom. We may disagree, but I'm still going to say, hey, I can't force you to do anything. The police can, but I can't. A friend of mine is a very, very serious anti-vaxxer, and he gets surprised when people are yelling at him in supermarkets because he doesn't wear a mask. You know what? That's his right. I could not care less. And one person wearing a mask is not going to stop anything. It's a herd immunity they keep telling us. Well, our herd immunity is failing us. We need a new approach. Vaccines are good. They are effective. Smallpox, polio, tuberculosis, all those things are gone at the present time. But whatever this thing is, I think we need something better. And this Pfizer miracle pill, I don't trust Pfizer with anything. I've covered that before. Probably cover it again. But it's always interesting how they have this miracle product in their back pocket, and it winds up, they get sued like crazy later. It's interesting how the first thing Pfizer negotiated for was the privilege of not being sued for whatever they put out. I don't touch Pfizer products, whatever they are. I should probably do some research on this, but I wonder if anyone's ever done a comparative study on Pfizer drugs to, other companies' drugs. Just flat out, because companies do produce generic versions of other people's drugs. I'm sure when we get into stuff like chemotherapy, the doctors do know which drug works better. But they can only get a Moderna, they can only get an AstraZeneca, whatever the big ones in chemotherapy are, I don't know. This is something that would be very interesting to research. I'm kind of researched out, just put a book out there on family services. That was a lot of research to get all that information and organize it. So I'm kind of bummed out on the research, but you could encourage me to research it if you bought a book from the shop. The link will be down below. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please hit like, subscribe, share, buy the merchandise in the link down below, and we hope you have a fantastic day.